Hey, I'm Allison from Learning at the Primary Pond. I'm a literacy specialist, and in this video, I'm going to share with you 5 silent E or CVCe activities that only take about 5 minutes for you to set up for your students. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, make sure to hit the subscribe button right now and the little bell so that you're notified every time I post a brand new video about teaching literacy in K2. Okay, so what are CVCe words, sometimes called silent E words, sometimes called magic E words or sneaky E? Basically, it's just a word like rate, where we've got an E at the end of the word that is not representing a sound by itself, but it changes the sound, in this case, of the other vowel, which is the A here. So if we think about the word rat, the sounds are at, right? But then when we make it rate, it becomes ate. So we've got the long A sound going on here in rate. This is an example of a silent E or a C consonant, V vowel, C, T consonant, E silent E word, a CVCe word. So students need to practice this, right? And typically they will learn about silent E words after they've learned about CVC words like rat. They really need to have that short vowel knowledge pretty solidified before you start to work on this. And when you first start to work with them on these words, you might notice that they're trying to pronounce it a little bit funny. Like they might be trying to pronounce it ratty, right? By saying the name of the E, rat-E, as opposed to saying, oh, well, that's the silent E that makes the A say its name, A, right? So if you have ever seen students reading words like this, ratey, or if you have the word made, it could be mad-E, just type yes in the comments. So I know that I am not the only one whose students have been doing some funky things with that silent E at the end. So, let's see. Now we're going to dive into some different activities that you can use with your students who are working on silent E words. And the beautiful thing about the activities I'm going to share is that they only take about 5 minutes for you to set up for your kiddos. Okay, so our first activity is a magic E puppet. All this is, it's just the letter E on a star. I printed it on cardstock and it is stuck to a little craft stick. And you can use this with words in a pocket chart. You can even just have like a list of words on a page, and you put words that are CVCe words. These are words that students already know how to read, so they should be able to read at rat, right? But then if we have our magic E puppet or a silent E puppet, now the word is rate. So you can have them read down like rat, mad, pan, and then they use their magic E puppet, rate, made, pain. So again, this doesn't take long to set up. You can even have your kids cut out the little stars and assemble their own magic E puppets. That's super fun. This is just an easy way to get kids to start with what they already know, being CVC words in this case, and then use that knowledge to add a silent E and change the sound of the vowel. And of course, these happen to be long A words, but you can do this like with long I and long O and long U, right? So if you think about the word like with long U, tub, put a magic E, it becomes tube. So there's lots of words that this will work for. Okay, our next activity is to have kids read silent E words that are written in sound boxes. This is especially good for your kids who might be trying to pronounce the E or just not using it to change the sound of the vowel. So this, as you can see, is the word wave. The sounds in this word are w, a, v, wave, right? And each letter, sometimes in sound boxes, there's more than one letter, like if you have SH that represents sh, the SH would go in one box. But basically here we've got one letter or one sound in each box, right? And then the reason why E is written in an open box is because it actually doesn't represent a sound. So when you present a word, like a silent E word, in sound boxes, this is a visual reminder to kids, oh, hey, this isn't actually going to be a sound here because it's an open box, and it's a reminder for them to change the sound of this vowel here. Now, eventually we want them to be able to read wave just written like this, right? But the sound boxes are kind of a temporary scaffold that visually remind them, hey, this is not going to represent a sound, but it is going to change the sound here. You could even do something like draw a little arrow or have the kids draw an arrow, right? The more ownership you give them, the better. So you might want to have them draw an arrow. So sound boxes are super helpful when you're first introducing silent E words, and they're good if you have any children who continue to struggle with silent E words, just as a little visual reminder. Activity number 3 is to have students reading decodable passages like this one or decodable books that focus on either all silent E words or silent E with like, you know, we've got long I going on in the kite. And so in texts like these, they're really focused on giving students lots of examples of words with that spelling pattern. So for example, in this one, we've got kite, the word white, wife, time. So lots of silent E words with the long I in them are in this passage. And when you've got kids who are still working on mastering silent E, a really good thing to do is to have them ahead of time go through and either highlight or underline, or if they can't write on the text, even just take a whiteboard and make a list of at least some of the words that have the silent E. Because that way, if they have them highlighted ahead of time, that's just a reminder, hey, I'm not going to try to pronounce that E, right? This is an example of where the silent E is going to change the sound of the vowel. So you can have them highlight, underline, make a list, whatever, and then read it, of course, and you can discuss some of those words that they found afterward and do a little word work as well. So decodable text, it could be books, could be passages. This is just one example from my decodable text bundle. There are also little booklet versions of these. Okay, our next activity is phonics games that involve both decoding and encoding of silent E words, and we're going to talk about what both of those terms mean. So these technically don't even take 5 minutes to set up. I know that's the title, 5 minutes to set up, but they're no prep. These are the Learning at the Primary Pond no prep phonics games. So for these, you just print them, you add some little game pieces and a die, and you're good to go. But in this game, kids are practicing decoding words with long I spelled with silent E. And then we also, like I said, want some encoding games where the kids are actually having to like spell, write words with silent E. And this game does just that. So here the kids are reading both short A words like CVCe words and long A words spelled with silent E. This is a really good thing to do because you might notice once you've introduced silent E, the kids are reading, I don't know, a word like tag as tag. They're all of a sudden sticking that long vowel in there, even though previously they could read tag just fine. This is totally normal. It just takes some time for them to sort out, oh yeah, this is what, you know, our short vowel words are gonna look like. This is what our long vowel words are gonna look like. So they're reading both types of words in here. And then each kiddo has a recording sheet, and they are, like when they land on a word, if it's a short A word, they write it in this column. And if it's a long A word, they write it in this column. So there is some encoding going on, some spelling. Even if they're copying it, it's still like that act of writing is good in imprinting it in their minds. And they're also having to think, hey, does this word have a short A or does it have a long A? Which is really good for helping them, you know, begin to distinguish between words with short vowels and long vowels and avoiding having them overgeneralize and make all those words long vowel words that they previously knew how to read. Okay, so our last activity that takes 5 minutes to set up, probably even less, are sentence scrambles. And with my decodable sentence scrambles, I have them arranged so that the kids have multiple examples of the target phonics pattern. So like here, it's silent E words, so they're gonna see make and hive, right? This little B is in there just because they can't decode that word yet. It's like a rebus. So basically what they do is they have these words mixed up. Hopefully you can see that okay. And then they cut apart the words. They have to solve what the sentence is, which is super fun. You can call it a mystery sentence. They copy the sentence below, and then they write, in this example, I have it differently for like kindergarten and second grade, slightly differently. In this example, they imagine that this sentence is in a book, and then they write a sentence to come after it, and they can do that on the back. So hopefully they would be using some more silent E words in there too, but it's a great opportunity for them to read and write silent E words, and they're super fun because kids always want to figure out what the mystery sentence is. Okay, I hope these 5 activity ideas were helpful to you. If you want some more resources and ideas for helping kids work on silent E words or CVCe words, I'm going to include a link with this video for some free multisensory phonics activities. It's not what I've shown here in the video, but there's so many goodies in these freebies. You want to make sure to grab it. It's a great way to have your kids practice not only silent E, but there's also opportunities for lots of other phonics skill practice in those freebies. So make sure to grab this. Again, hope it was helpful. Appreciate you watching. Hit the like button, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.